Good evening. Thanks for joining me this Saturday on 7Edition. I am Otto Othman, and these are tonight's top stories. Kelantan's former ruler, Sultan Ismail Petra, passes away. Prime Minister calls for the United Nations to revise veto power. And hundreds of male students freed from House of Horror in Nigeria. The former Sultan of Kelantan, Sultan Ismail Petra Ibni Almarhum Sultan Yahya Petra, died this morning at the Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital in Kota Baru. His Majesty, the father of the current Sultan of Kelantan, Sultan Muhammad V, was 70. His body was brought to Istana Balai Besar for his final rites at 10 a.m, where the Raja Perempuan Kelantan, Tengku Anis Tengku Abdul Hamid, was accompanied by the Kelantan royal family. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria and other Malay rulers were also present. The Sultan of Brunei, Sultan Hassan Al-Bolkiah and Paduka Sri Baginda Raja Isteri Pangeran Anak Hajah Saleha also flew in to pay their final respects. Also present was Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail and her husband Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Sultan Ismail Petra was finally laid to rest at the Langgar Royal Mausoleum near the grave of his late father, Almarhum Sultan Yahya Petra, later in the afternoon. The state government announced 2 days of holiday in Kelantan for tomorrow and on Monday to mourn his passing. The mourning period will last for 40 days, where all forms of entertainment and sporting events have been ordered to be put on hold. The state flag and other flags will also be flown at half-mast for 40 days in the state. Sultan Ismail Petra ruled as the 28th Sultan of Kelantan from March 30th, 1980 until September 2009. His Majesty suffered a stroke in 2009 and his eldest prince, Sultan Muhammad V, had replaced him as the current Sultan of Kelantan. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Permaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria have expressed their condolences over the death of Sultan Ismail Petra. In a statement issued by Istana Negara, their Majesties have extended their condolences to Sultan Muhammad V and the entire Kelantan royal family. Al-Sultan Abdullah has also decreed for all flags in Pahang to be flown at half-mast for 3 days starting tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim Ibni Almarhum Sultan Iskandar, also offered his condolences through his official Instagram account. The Sultan of Kedah, Sultan Salehuddin Sultan Badlisha, also issued a statement offering his condolences and said His Majesty was saddened by the passing of Sultan Ismail Petra. In other news, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said the time has come for the United Nations veto power to be revised if it cannot be abolished completely. The Prime Minister said this is to ensure that the intergovernmental organization returns to its original purpose of ensuring world peace.
The veto power, they must know, was against all the principles of human rights which they themselves claim to be the champions. It killed the very purpose of the great organization that they had created. It ensured that all solution to all conflicts could be negated by any one of them. Broken up into ideological factions, they frustrated all attempts of solving problems. Conflicts could be negated by any...
During his statement at the general debate of the 74th session of the UN General Assembly on Friday, the Premier also suggested that the veto should only be valid if 2 veto powers together with 3 non-veto members agree to apply it to prevent abuses. There are 5 countries that wield the UN veto power, namely France, China, the UK, the US, and Russia.
Now, despite UN resolution being...
Now, the Prime Minister also expressed Malaysia's strong disapproval towards the blatant seizure of Palestine land and the occupation of Jerusalem by Israel. Tun Dr. Mahathir said while Malaysia accepted the state of Israel as a fait accompli, it strongly condemned the latter's hostility towards the Muslims and Islam.
Because of the creation of Israel, there is now enmity towards the Muslims and Islam. Muslims are accused of terrorism, even if they did nothing. Muslim countries have been destabilized through the campaign for democracy and regime change. Muslims everywhere have been oppressed, expelled from their countries, and refused asylum.
So Dr. Mahathir added the creation of Israel by seizing Palestinian land had expelled as much as 90% of the latter's Arab population. He further said this had led to wars being fought in many countries in the region and in turn gave birth to numerous terrorist movements globally. He also believed that military action against acts of terrorism will not succeed for as long as the world refuses to identify the cause and remove it. Meanwhile, touching on the European Union EU palm oil ban, Tun Dr. Mahathir described it as a classic case of the denial of free trade. The Premier said he reckoned that the move was made due to the EU's inability to sustain the competitiveness of its own edible oils. He also pointed out that Malaysia has honored its pledge at the Rio Earth Summit in 1992 to maintain at least 50% of landmass under forest cover.
We have made good our pledge and even better. Our forest cover is currently at 55.3%, exceeding our Rio pledge. Palm oil is still a big contributor to our economy. There is no evidence that it is poisonous. Millions have taken palm oil and have not fallen ill because of taking of palm oil. We appeal to the good sense of the rich not to impoverish us, not to deprive hundreds of thousands of our workers from earning a living.
Tun Dr. Mahathir added the EU had launched a campaign against palm oil, falsely labeling the industry as harmful to the environment and ecosystem. He also stated the claims that the industry destroys the habitat of long-nosed monkeys and reduces carbon dioxide absorption were baseless. Now, the government will focus on increasing the participation of women in the workforce in the upcoming 2020 budget. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said in line with the current times, the role of women must be strengthened as many of them are now in various fields and can contribute to the growth of the national economy. Lim said based on the statistics of labor participation, there was a shortage of women in the nation's workforce.
Kalau kita lihat dari segi itu penyertaan buruh, Malaysia adalah di kalangan lelaki adalah kira-kira hampir 80%. Tapi kalangan wanita 56 saja. So mungkin itu yang pentinglah supaya kita boleh tingkatkan penyertaan wanita di dalam sektor pekerjaan macam saudari sendiri bekerja. Ini adalah sesuatu yang amat baik dan amat memberikan manfaat besar kepada negara kerana itu adalah sesuatu yang amat produktif.
He also encouraged the private sector to increase the participation of women in developing the country's economy. Based on strengthening the role of women, the Finance Ministry will also focus on reducing the unemployment rate among the youth. He said specifically, the employability of university students will be given focus by creating more job opportunities in high-growth areas. Lim explained that if Malaysia was to be a developed nation, it should be led and spearheaded by the private sector, as it would be more efficient. Now, on another matter, Lim said Pakatan Harapan's Presidential Council will meet soon to discuss the preparations for the Tanjung Piai parliamentary by-election, including the selection of candidates. The minister, who is also DAP Secretary General, added his party will respect the distribution of seats among the PH component parties in the last general election that allowed Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, Bersatu, to contest the seat. According to Lim, any decision made on the by-election will be announced after it has been discussed and agreed through consensus during the PH meeting. For now, the date of the meeting has not been set as the Prime Minister, who is also the PH chairman, is overseas.
Ini akan dibincang dalam Majlis Presiden Pakatan Harapan. Kerana ini adalah kerusi bersatu, saya rasa lebih baik ia datang daripada bersatu, tapi tentu ini akan dibincang dalam Majlis Presiden Pakatan Harapan dan ini akan dianggap sebagai satu usaha sama oleh semua parti komponen Pakatan Harapan.
The Tanjung Piai parliamentary seat fell vacant after its Member of Parliament, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Farid Muhammad Rafiq, who was also a Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, died on September 21st from heart complications. He had won the seat with a majority of 524 votes, beating out incumbent Datuk Sri Wee Jek Seng from Barisan Nasional and Nordin Nothman from PAS. Now, the cost of living aid BSH payment for approved appellants will be made on Monday as proof of the government's concern for the low-income group, or B40. In a statement, the Finance Minister said the payment was expected to benefit nearly 220,000 recipients with an estimated allocation of 120 million ringgit. He added the payment will be credited directly into the recipients' respective bank accounts registered during the BSH 2019 appeal application period. Those with further question can call the toll-free line at 1-800-882747 or email at bsh@treasury.gov.my. To date, a total of 4.2 billion ringgit has been dispersed in the entire BSH 2019 payment phases, including the appeals to nearly 3.9 million qualified households. Coming up, our Air Force boys show off a lighter side of themselves. Details next. Thank you for staying with us. 2 men died after the motorcycle they were riding was run over by a vehicle believed to be a lorry in Ipoh, Petra today. In the 9:30 a.m. accident, which occurred on Jalan Ipoh, Lumut, the motorcycle had brushed against the heavy vehicle, causing the motorcyclist to lose control of the two-wheeler. The victims were identified as 31-year-old local Syed Hazwan Hafiz Syed Muhammad Nazari and 52-year-old Indonesian identified only as Margono. Police said the Yamaha 135LC and the unidentified heavy vehicle were traveling in the same direction, heading to Lumut from Lahat. The victims' bodies were brought to the Raja Permaisuri Bainun for post-mortem. Authorities are also tracking down the lorry involved in the accident. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Almost every household in Peninsular Malaysia will soon be able to track their power usage and patterns through the Advanced Metering Infrastructure AMI, or simply known as the Smart Meter. This will be made possible with Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB's plans to install 9.1 million smart meters by 2026 to facilitate full AMI benefits for its customers, as mandated by the Energy Commission.
According to the Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Ministry, or MESTEC, the installation of smart meters would also help boost the country's economy. Its Deputy Secretary General Nur Afifah Abdul said this is because it opens up investment opportunities for companies to participate in the initiative.
Penggunaan elektrik bagi pengguna-pengguna akan dikenakan tarif yang berbeza mengikut waktu penggunaan bermula pada 10 Kedua tahun 2021. Tertakluk kepada siapnya pemasangan meter pintar tadi dan kelengkapan-kelengkapan lain yang diperlukan oleh pihak TNB bagi memastikan pelaksanaannya. Inisiatif ini diperkenalkan bertujuan untuk memberi peluang kepada para pengguna menggunakan elektrik pada kadar tarif yang lebih rendah di luar waktu puncak berdasarkan tempoh masa penggunaan tenaga tersebut. Inisiatif ini yang dikenali sebagai Enhanced Time of Use atau ETOU seperti yang dinyatakan oleh Datuk Wira tadi. Ia juga memberi peluang kepada para pengguna untuk merancang penggunaan tenaga elektrik mereka dengan lebih baik, seterusnya dapat membantu pengguna mengurangkan bil elektrik mereka.
Nur Afifah also said smart meters have been adopted in several developed countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, Singapore and Japan. Back home, almost 300,000 smart meters were successfully installed in Malacca during the first phase of the initiative in 2018. Phase 2 will see 1.2 million smart meters be installed by 2020 in Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya and Cyberjaya.
Now on to world news. More than 300 male students have been rescued from a school in the Nigerian city of Kaduna, where many had been tortured and sexually abused. Officers raided a building in a Rigasa area of the city on Thursday, where the victims, including adults and minors, were kept in inhumane conditions in the name of reforming them. The proprietor of the school and 6 staff were arrested during the raid. Victims, including children as young as 9, were found in chains, padlocked to car hubcaps and stuffed in a small room at the facility. Some bore scars down their backs, while others said they were sodomized by their teachers. Police said the victims were of varying nationalities and that some had been brought from the countries in the region, including Burkina Faso, Mali and Ghana.
This place is neither a rehab or an Islamic school because you can see it with yourself. Small children, some of them are brought from our neighboring countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, Ghana and the rest. And the children gathered here are from all over the country, across all over the country. They were here, some of them were even chained. They were used, dehumanized. You can see it yourself.
He added that despite its claims to be an educational institution, the conditions proved that the facility was neither a rehab center or a religious school. The school, which has been operating for a decade, enrolled students brought by their families to learn religious teachings and be rehabilitated from drug abuse and other illnesses. Police had been tipped off by complaints from local residents who became suspicious of what was happening at the premises. Stepping into the second week in a row of Fridays for Future, teen climate activist Greta Thunberg urged Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and other world leaders Friday to do more for the environment. This as she led 500,000 protesters in Montreal, further erupting a global wave of climate strikes. The 16-year-old Swede met privately with Trudeau, but later told a news conference with local Indigenous leaders that he was not doing enough to curb greenhouse gases responsible for global warming.
So today, we are millions around the world striking and marching again, and we will keep on doing it until they listen. And we are not in school today. You are not at work today, because this is an emergency, and we will not be bystanders.
Trudeau and other Canadian Party leaders took a breather from a tight election campaign to join Thunberg at the Montreal rally after pledging to fund the planting of 2 billion trees during his private meeting with the team. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of youths demonstrated across several countries worldwide, heeding Thunberg's call. Friday's sun first rose in New Zealand, where swarms of students and adult supporters took over the streets in cities across the country, where organizers estimate that 3.5% of the country's population turned out to strike. Tens of thousands of people in Santiago, Chile, flooded the streets demanding justice for Mother Earth. In Rome, organizers estimate a whopping 200,000 people showed up to strike. Last Friday, more than 6 million youths and adults rallied in climate strikes around the world. Now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Now, internet and fresh challenges are always inseparable. The Unbox Challenge, also popularly known as the Tetris Challenge, is the latest trending challenge on social media. The challenge sees participation from uniformed organizations worldwide, where they unbox and arrange the vehicles and various items to be laid out for an aerial photograph, making them look like an action figure set. Our very own Royal Malaysian Air Force, TUDM, joined in the fun, and oh boy, did they show up with the big guns, or in this case, missiles. While police cars, fire engines and ambulances are the norm in the viral challenge across the globe, TUDM's F-18 jet fighter completely threw their competition under the bus. 6 TUDM personnel, an F-18 complete with Sidewinder missiles and various equipment and uniform items were laid out so creatively. The tweet, uploaded Thursday, used to promote Malaysian Armed Forces Day Carnival 2019, held today and tomorrow at the Lumut Naval Ship Base, has so far garnered over 2,300 retweets and over 2,600 likes. When we return, hundreds of competitors go head-to-head in Malaysia's largest e-racing competition. Stay with us. 'Now it's time for My Game On, bringing you the latest news on gaming and esports. 40 simulation racers went head-to-head on the virtual racetrack during the final round of the largest esport racing event in Malaysia, the Toyota GR Velocity Esports Championship. Saw the winners taking home a combined prize pool of 70,000 ringgit.
.700 racers participated in the qualifying round, where a time trial determined the top 40 participants for the final round. Racers got behind the wheel of the latest 2019 Toyota GR Supra, the flagship sports car developed not only for real motorsports but also for Gran Turismo esports. Finalists competed in a 10-lap race on 3 different tracks, including Kyoto Driving Park, Suzuka Circuit, as well as Fuji Speedway.
So we came out with this idea that e-sport is something that we want to participate, and we wanted to be first in Malaysia, especially in e-racing. Compared to last year, we had nearly 400 people who have participated. This year we had more than 700. So year by year is getting better and more people are participating.
As for the winner of the tournament, Muhammad Shahril Nandir was delighted with his victory, having lost in the qualifying round of the same competition last year. The professional esports racer clinched the 20,000 ringgit top prize after obtaining 51 points in the grand finals.
It was awesome. It was a really tough event actually. All the best in Malaysian are here in the event. So yeah, I think I'm just lucky to be here and be in the champion spot.
Muhammad Uzair Abdul Nasir and Muhammad Afif Suhaimi brought home 10,000 and 5,000 ringgit respectively after finishing in second and third. UMW Toyota Motors President K. Ravindran and its Deputy Chairman Akio Takayama presented the prizes to the winners. Esports racing events are among some of the high-performance activities organized by Toyota, with hopes to see 1,000 racers participating in next year's event. Meanwhile, the Malaysian Football League MFL aims to unite esports and football fans on the virtual front with the launch of the inaugural ePiala Malaysia 2019. Collaborating with tournament organizers, Games Bond, MFL hopes the event will generate stronger interest towards both traditional football and esports among fans.
The young today grow up on esports because it can be consumed at any time that they want it to be consumed. They can start playing whenever they want to play, and that is a trend of what the youth today are growing up with.
At the launch, Malaysia's top-ranked e-football players were drawn to represent the 8 quarter-finalist teams in the actual Piala Malaysia. The players will represent teams such as Johor Darul Takzim, Kedah, Melaka, Pahang, Perak, PKNP FC, Selangor and Terengganu FC.
The players are chosen by the ranking in FIFA Global Ranking and also the international involvement. The prize pool of this tournament will be the 10,000 ringgit. The champion will walk away with the trophy and also 5,000 ringgit.
Games will be played on the latest FIFA 20 using the PlayStation 4 platform and will begin tonight for the quarter-final stage, followed by the semi-finals on October 17th. The finals will be played right before the real-life match at the Bukit Jalil National Stadium on November 2nd. All matches will be streamed via the MFL Facebook page and the Football Malaysia channel on iFlix, where fans can witness the first ever Piala Malaysia champion crowned.
20th Century Fox just dropped the 3rd trailer of their upcoming animation action flick, Spy as a Disguise, hitting theaters in December. We leave you with the trailer as we wrap up tonight's news. I'm Otto Othman. Thanks for watching and good night.